Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Most of you I know quite well, and Ian, it's the first time I've met you, so I don't know if you've ever been to possibility management spaces before. And by the way, your camera is off again, or what? But I wanted to welcome you to this particular space, this work talk, which is the Expand the Box. What is Expand the Box work talk? And I'm Devin Gleason. I'll be holding space at the beginning of November 6th through 10, for an Expand the Box somewhere in the Los Angeles area that Anita Coates, who's on the call, is organizing that, and we are kind of having a lot of fun connecting and figuring out how to bring Expand the Box, which is a pretty big training, to a place in the United States that's never had an Expand the Box before. So it's the inaugural Expand the Box in Los Angeles, although not the first one in California. I think there have been one or two in San Francisco. And for this call today, what I wanted to do is, on the one hand, talk a bit about what Expand the Box is, and there are just so many. Expand the Box really, as a training space, has so many different facets and angles and things things we could talk about. So I would say some things about it, and then also a space for questions and answers. And Beth McNamara, you've been to several Expand the Boxes before. How many Expand the Boxes have you been to?
6.
6, okay. It's incredible. That means you've spent 30 days of your life in Expand the Box.
30 days in under 2 years, and in a year and a half.
Oh my God, okay. I know the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So I welcome you to just whatever, Beth, to answer questions, to add your voice about what, I think there's probably a reason you've been to 6 Expand the Boxes in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
To just share about what the impact is, what the space is like at any moment. And then I also would like to have space for everybody here to, maybe in an exercise, maybe we'll do breakout rooms are all together, I don't know yet, but to also get to speak. And in particular, there's this Charles Eisenstein quote that I've been thinking about lately about it's about this: the world, the more beautiful world your heart knows is possible. And to allow much of a big part of what we do and Expand the Box is because we had, for the most part, absolutely no training in modern culture or in schools about how to let the heart speak, to do some of that here, to not speak so much from the mind or speak from what is already known, but to talk about the more beautiful world your heart knows is possible, really from your heart, letting your heart say the words, and in a way, letting your heart paint what it is that you care about. So I think I'd start with just a little bit about what is Expand the Box, and then we'll open for questions. I also, any of you, I encourage you to just interrupt me and say more about that, or this direction, or what about this? Just to, part of this space is I invite a kind of collaboration. So there might be things you really want to hear about or know about that I'm not talking about, and what I am talking about you're not so interested in. So allow your interest in what you want to guide your collaborative engagement in this space. So
Okay.
just deal?
Deal.
Deal.
Okay, great. So at a kind of high level, Expand the Box is a five day. It's actually a 3 to 5 day training space, residential training, where people come together for 3 to 5 days, live together for 3 to 5 days, and go through some of the basic. It's not really basic, but some of the distinctions, maps, practices that come from a game world called possibility management. And so this includes a lot of things. Just as a group, we come together really to build a village for these days. And that means we cook together. We, at least in this case, we'll probably be sharing the same rooms, probably not the same beds, but we're really in a space together. And part of the journey is unfolding in yourself and in each other this more beautiful world your heart knows is possible. But second, your particular contribution, the very particular thing that you came to this planet to give. And what I've noticed and experienced when I first went through Expand the Box is that as human beings, if you grew up in modern culture, which we all did, modern Western culture, that in many ways we are not equipped by school, not equipped for the most part by the government, for the most part not by families, to really unfold the vast potential that we are. So there are a few places where you can go on the planet where you can really unfold this potential. And so in the past, cultures around the world had these things called initiations or rites of passage, where people would go through, where young people would, at a certain age, usually in their teens, go through intense experiences, sometimes even life-endangering experiences that were designed to cause a shift in a person from being a child, being someone who was dependent on their parents, being, if it was tribal, to be a person who didn't have a voice in the tribe, to becoming someone who's equipped with the equipment of responsibility, of being able to take responsibility so that they can offer their contribution. And in modern culture, rites of passage initiations do not exist, except at a very, very superficial level. So maybe the transition from high school into life after high school, or being able to drink or whatever. Even friends of mine who I've talked to who went through bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, which is the kind of one of the Jewish rites of passage, said it was so traditional that it wasn't like they went through their bat mitzvah or bar mitzvah. It's a celebration, but in terms of being able to, I'll just say about initiation and possibility management, the way that it is defined is you go through an initiation, and an initiation is defined by it gives you the ability to take higher levels of responsibility. So after you've gone through an initiation, there are things you can do that you could not do before. And so when I've talked to friends about bar mitzvah or bat mitzvah, they say that's not the case. That is not what they experienced. And so it does not exist in modern culture. And so the 3 or 5 day Expand the Box is a space specifically designed for people who grew up in modern culture to go through initiations that enable them to take more responsibility at the level of their vision, at the level of their heart, what they care about, at the level of being able to feel, also at the level of being radically in a team. So we're building this village, and it's not just a byproduct. It's not just, well, we're all together, but it's really intentional that we are learning, living, and practicing together. because for the most part, that also does not exist in modern culture of actually coming together and doing something together in this way. I'm going to pause for a moment. And maybe I'll do that a lot. I want to hear anything coming up for you or unfolding in you as I'm speaking.
Yes, when you're speaking about the village and what happens in the 5 days at an Expand the Box in the village, in the community, what's coming, the word that's coming to me is visibility. So yes, you come, like a participant comes and they enter into this village, and then there's this invitation for each person in the village to become more and more visible. And so what becomes very obvious, and I can say for like, I've gone to 6 of them, and I would say for the first one and even the second one, it's how much I was having a hidden life. And even when things were going on in the village, that there's this other thing going on and I'm not revealing it, because in modern culture, and even in maybe certain friend groups or family dynamics that I came from, that isn't invited. It's not really invited. There's stories about it. There were stories about it in me. Can I really say the thing that's coming up? Can I really show that I'm having reactivity to this, that I'm pissed that this doesn't land, that I'm mad at the way that person said something, that I feel scared. I feel scared to be in a circle and to speak. So I'm just sitting here quietly. So all these things that, yeah, patterned. Basically, I was in like patterns of just hiding and not being visible and making excuses about it. And voices telling me I'm not supposed to do that, that I have to wait my turn, interrupting's not okay. All these little like structures, constructs, restrictions from my being, really just being with what is and being in reality. And so it's like, yes, we come into a village and there's this really big invitation to be with each other where each person is at. And what I've noticed is that the constellations of who come together, it's just like just the right alchemy to do it, to do the thing that we come to do, which we don't have a goal. It's not like at the end of these 5 days you'll ABC, but it's a living breathing organism.
Beth, would you say something about so I get an impression that this has shifted in you about being able to be more visible, and just like, what is it in the environment of an Expand the Box? Maybe you have specific stories even, or anecdotes about what shifted for you, but what supported you, and also maybe how have you seen others get support for becoming more visible and more in a way?
Yes, well, the trainers who hold space for it, I believe, bring that invitation in. So it's really encouraged and it's supported when something does bubble up. And the more I saw that happening, and the support and the team staying with a person or staying with me, not leaving, my old stories would be like, if I bring this, I'm wrong, I'm bad, they're going to leave. They'll pretend like they still like me, but they'll move away. And there's in the field, yes, this like liking and not liking is really no longer part of the field. Mm-hmm. It's like, you're on a team, we're doing this together, what you bring is valid, and we'll be with you. And there's also pathways of, like, I really love how there's ways to heal it offered then in the case. And what's really coming to me is like emotional reactivity, because I think that would be something that before I would push down and squeeze down and hide. And it was actually a recent Expand the Box where I was reactive to something someone said. Someone kind of corrected me and gave me feedback that, I was being a certain way, and I was so angry. And I was just like, it was like going on inside me. But the old Beth would have just said, you can't show this because then everyone's going to move away from you. And just knowing that that was not the case, but like not knowing in my mental body, it had landed in all of my bodies, my energetic body and my emotional body, that people were not going to move away if I showed what was really happening in me. So I was like, I'm pissed. I'm angry. I know it's not this person. I know that there's something moving in me and I just wish they wouldn't have said that. It's like, fuck you. Like, I said it all. And I felt so glad. I mean, yes, I was angry. And then there's this other part of me that was like, oh my goodness, I'm just really being real with it. And no one moved away. In fact, I remember Vera, who was one of the trainers, saying, okay, do you want to go take care of that emotion right now? Ask someone in the group. I asked another woman, Sonia, will you hold space for me about this? Yes. We got up out of the circle. We went into a room and I felt it fully. And I had the real lived experience of it neutralizing, of being able to come back into the space to see the person I was so upset with, just like in a totally like with love. I mean, like, it's not about him. It's not about what just happened. I'm having this experience. And so there was like yeah, that's the anecdote that comes because it's like a doorway and there's something to do about it. It's not just like, oh, okay, good, let's move on. I can really in real time be with what's really going on with me. And I'd say that just over time of having that experience more and more, I come closer to reality. I come closer to reality. I come closer to accepting myself where I'm at as well. And I've just seen that. I've seen it happen in 5 days where people who are quiet and invisible and hiding and speaking so quietly, and then encouraged to like, please speak louder, say what's really going on with you. We're on your team. By the end, really being able to unfold, to speak, to connect, intimately with the person sitting across from them. The intimacy part is really such a big part, being able to create intimacy with people I just met, humans that I don't know. What does it matter? We can like jump from A to Z like in a moment just by looking at each other and really being with each other and sensing the love that is there.
Thank you. You're hitting on one of the things I was just thinking about is like that it's a rapid expand the box is a rapid evolution space. And meaning like really in 3 or 5 days, it's been the same experience. It's one of the most ecstatic things is to see someone who's quiet. I mean, one of the things we'll sometimes do with someone who's very quiet and then expand the box is we'll have a physical hammer. Maybe we'll have this for expand the box in Los Angeles, but we'll just give them the physical hammer and they hold it basically for however long it takes, but it could be 24 hours. They'll hold it up like this, they'll sleep with it, they'll eat with it, and the whole idea behind it is that it's a reminding factor for them to use their voice in the space, to really bring it in, and to see people who have been quiet all their lives finally start to say what they've needed to say for whatever 25 35 years is it's just total magic. So this is like I tell you, at the center in a way of the culture in Expand the Box that we're building is this evolutionary kind of an evolutionary well that people come to and drink from and pour each other cups from and just get nourished. I think people are hungry and thirsty for evolution. What do you got, Anita?
Yeah, I do have something. Thank you. As you were talking about the initiations, I'm just so aware that I've never thought about that before, but I've never really had an initiation of any kind. So it's not even in my conscious awareness that that's a possibility for me. And so when you brought that forward as, I don't know, all of a sudden I was like, oh wait, is this part of Expand the Box? Like I'm really interested in like what would an initiation be for me and what part of my life am I needing initiation in? And I just felt like a little doorway open into, oh, okay, I don't even know what I've signed up for, and I'm feeling very excited about this. is this like, am I going to be initiated into some part of my next step in this expand the box? Is that part of this?
Well, surely. And I just to also be clear, it's like an initiation is something you go through. And like I said, you on the other side of it, you're capable of taking more responsibility. And that does not mean you're pressuring yourself or you're forcing yourself, but it's really on the other side of it, you are able to do things that you were not able to do before. And I think human beings, even though we're never told this, come to Earth with like gigantic missions. I think
Mhm.
I think I think in terms of when I look at our culture and when I look at people who've done big things, sometimes there's an idea that they're the special ones or they're the geniuses and that this is a rare thing. And
Mhm.
I think genius is not rare at all. I think genius is abundant. I think what is very rare is for someone to be jacked into that accidentally, to just somehow through the circumstances of their lives be jacked into that. So when I talk about initiation, that's really what I'm talking about is a pathway where a person can jack into becoming big enough to be what they need to be to hold space for the mission, which is their genius, which is their genius unfolding into the world.
And
When
I was going to ask,
something's, oh, go.
perhaps you're in your initiation as we speak. This is part of it.
Mm.
I think you're right. I actually have been feeling this. I feel like there's a piece of my own visibility that's been coming online recently, and just this willingness to I swear I feel like I've been speaking more into things that I know, things that I know deeply, and it's like this part of me is starting to emerge that really is okay being seen in my wild passion for something. You know, it's been such an amazing uh moment in my life, and I'm really excited for more of this to come forward in me. I have a lot to say apparently. Really. Yeah.
I just want to reflect that you seem to have gotten the calling and you answered. And here you are sharing your truths as you're suggesting with us. And yeah, I resonate with you and what you're sharing and your truths. So yeah, just reflects to me putting, as we put ourselves out there, who we truly are and not holding back the things that maybe we previously have, that we are able to be seen by more our reflections and yeah, tap in more with who we really are. So it comes from me.
Yeah, Ian, I hear you say that like Anita's radiance, basically, her what she's bringing and her visibility and her radiance has this quality of drawing you or allowing you to see that in yourself as well. And it's this magnetism in a way. Like as yeah, my sense is that each of us, we have these big beams and they radiate and they have all of this like these potentials that can come through, and as we move closer and allow it to get bigger, then we also find other people on that path.
Mhm.
You know, people who have, it's not even about being the same or similar in any way, it's just like people who also want their being to be big and to radiate.
Yes. And one way I love to see it as a visual is kind of as we practice this discernment, as you're saying, the people that reflect more and more of who we are, or as I guess we're all saying, um, is walking down this pathway where all these doors, and whether they're closed or partially open or fully open, as we kind of dial in this discernment for who we are, what we want, and who we want to, have those connections with, because we resonate. We pass by the doors that we might have previously knocked on over and over that were closed or partially open or didn't quite align with us. Because we trusted that we were coming more and more into alignment with the doors that are fully open and essentially just our flow of life and that harmony with everything and with one. That as we practice that more and more, the easier, the quicker, the more effortless it becomes, because we are not spending as much time, energy on trying to open the doors that, you know, weren't open or keeping knocking or whatever, and just realizing, okay, this is what feels good and it's open and let's keep following that. I think that that's something, again, I've been called by possibility management quite a few times and lots of synchronicities that led me to it. And a good new friend, Nicole, is the one who introduced me to it. And yeah, as I keep going down the rabbit hole a little bit further, it's been in alignment with everything else that I am about. My journey is helping bring us back to living in connection with ourselves, each other, in the world, and doing so through eco-village building and such. And yeah, things even aligning with that. If you're familiar with the Ringing Cedars series and Anastasia, it's got a lot of similar values, ways of doing things and connecting and stuff. So when I hear you talking about, you know, this 5 days of living in a village together and creating that, that really excites me, and it just connects with all the other ideas and kind of this fusion of everything that's aligning in my life to bring me to some things. And I'll mute myself because it's a homecoming here that I didn't realize was happening, so it's a little loud. So
Thank you, Ian.
Okay, thanks again.
Ian, you're creating a village wherever you go.
That's so funny that you say that, because that is one thing that a friend just recently said, is that my village is coming from within me. And I thought that was such a sweet thing for them to share, because, you know, I am all around and help to bring community and people together wherever I go. So it's nice that as within and so without.
Thank you. Melissa, I'd like to hear from you a little bit. What's cooking over there?
Yeah, thank you. As I'm listening to everybody, and I feel so much tenderness in my heart space, like this kind of sadness that's coming up, this sweetness, this longing that I have for a space of community. I have past experiences of being in community, and every time that I've been in a community, it hasn't had the tools that I know possibility management has. And so after some time, and it's always around about a year, it has either imploded and there's just like so much separation, or exploded and people's reactivity just blows the whole space back to normal, back to a farm, a working farm, or everybody out or something like that. And so when I hear that the Expand the Box is this thing that I've been longing for, where it's this community, this villaging happening with the element of being real, like so real that collaboration is possible. So having the processes to hold the space that intimacy is available. And even now in my family space, my relating space with my partner, we both like possibility management context is so much in my family space, so much in my everyday life, and still without the collaboration of the whole village, intimacy gets blocked. Like there's only so far that the two of us can go in our evolutionary journey, or even our journey of being seen, of being loved. With just the two of us, it only goes so far, and then there's a sort of break. And what I'm hearing is that this bigger space with this bigger group creates this sort of vessel that I'm longing for it. I have this sweetness in me that is thirsty for it, like this well that you're talking about. And I love it. I love hearing what everybody's bringing, and I want it. Yeah, that's what's happening for me.
Yes, more please.
Yeah, thank you. My friend Dawe, who's not on this call, but we've lived together for, I don't know, something like six years. We first lived in an intentional community together, and then we started an intentional community together, and then at different points we've lived in other intentional communities. But something we're currently writing an article together about our experiences in a bunch of these communities, which were at the center of the communities was something like experience together for the most part. And it was, for instance, we lived in one place for a year, and every single morning at 6:45 we would all meet in the living room, and someone would hold space for a check-in, and it would always be different. So it's like it maybe every once in a while it would be like, how are you feeling? I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that. Sometimes it would be we'd draw each other nude. Sometimes someone would perform a poem. Sometimes one time I got really into juicing, and I made a magical juice that had some really weird ingredients. And so we all drank it. We shared about, okay, here's how it was. Here's what's happening now. Oh my God, my heart's beating really fast. Like whatever it was. We were centered on doing new experiences together. And on the one hand, this was like totally wonderful. I'd never had people to experiment together with at such a consistent level. And at the same time, and it would create some connection, but at the same time, when it came time for us to sign a new lease and move out, all of a sudden we discovered that underneath the surface of all this experimentation was a lot of conflict, a lot of disagreement, like people who had just gotten used to not being close to each other. And so when it came time to leave, it's like, why would I want to keep living with this person? And so I realized this was a big part of my experience in intentional community, was having communities that were centered on experiences, or having kind of, let's try this, let's try that. And recently Dawe and I lived in a community where we at the center was evolution. So it was almost like being in Expand the Box, but the center of the whole space was going through processes together. Really, anytime there was any friction between two people, just checking it out and making proposals, seeing what was there, creating experiments. For instance, I was just wasn't the same community, but it was another that had evolution at the center. And there was one woman there who I realized I had a lot of fear with, and I had explored it a bit, but my proposal to her ended up being, I want to spend every day with you for the next week. No matter what, we spend a certain amount of time together every day and see what unfolds. And it completely altered our relationship. And so this is also something I want to, that you kind of touch on, Melissa, with all living together, is that even in a community that's experimental, there can be other things at the center than say evolution or connection. And this could, and at least in my experience, this can cause situations where people just aren't talking, say, or where people have these long-standing, I'm just not interested in moving closer here.
I just had a quick technical question on the LA or any of the 5-day trainings, because I got super excited, and I'm going to be going out to communities in Hawaii and living, connecting. And I thought, how cool would it be if they were interested to come do the training together? And I wasn't sure if it usually works more as a thing of like me coming there and then bringing it back and teaching and sharing it, or groups come that are, already or living together to do the training together.
So are you asking, what are you asking?
I'm asking, would it be something like to come with the people that I might be living in community with in Hawaii, come to the training in LA together?
Totally. Yes. I did that, actually, the first Expand the Box I went to myself as a participant. That's what I did, is I went with a bunch of people I was living in community with. So it totally works that way. I mean, I think one of the massive benefits with that is that everybody suddenly gets similar tools and distinctions. So even if you already have a lot of processes that you work with in a community, it also can give this shared language and shared, in a way, shared, very deep shared experience that's getting to know each other beyond just personality. But people who have known each other for years will come to and Expand the Box together, and all of a sudden it's like they're meeting someone they've never met before. And this can do wonders for community as well. So it totally works. Yeah.
Cool, thanks. And then I'm just thinking too, like how exciting would it be to come with, a few people, do the training, and then have each other to then go share it, with others with too, having experienced it ourselves together. So
I'll tell
anyways,
you-
yes, all to say that I'm just very excited about all of this. Thank you.
That's
Yes.
so cool. That's so cool that if you were to come with people that you're going to be living with and be able to implement the technology together like that, like where it's not, because it would work if you came and you brought the tools into your, into your bodies, and you went to Hawaii and shared it. That would also work. And so cool if there were more of you that then were just a big yes to this. And I had a little flash, so I wanted to share, because then you get to go back and build circle, like in Hawaii, maybe not even just the people you're living with, but really making those bridges to the edge workers that are going to be there. There's probably so many edge workers in Hawaii that don't, maybe they know they're on the edge of modern culture, maybe they don't, but that you are able to really build circle. And you could host, you could eventually actually host one of the trainers to come and offer a training as well, if you build circle in that way. So that's great. I love that you have such a big vision for this.
Yeah, me too.
I have one other possibility coming forward, Ian, which is all of us on this call are going to be at this Expand the Box in November. And I feel like we could have another work call like this, where you could invite all the people you're thinking that might want to join, and we could get on Zoom this week and just have this conversation again and bring them into the fold and get all their questions answered.
Yes, I love that. That sounds great. So just to share a little bit more about my timeline right now, I'm in upstate New York. Just booked last night my flight to Santa Barbara, actually, so not far off. It's my hometown. For a week from today, next Saturday. I'll be visiting family there for a bit and just connecting in with some community stuff, and then heading to Big Island. So I've been in communications with quite a few communities in Big Island, and so I'm piecing together the puzzle of where I'm going to be. There's one particular group that's just stepping into wanting more community stuff going on, which is one of the many things I love to help do and support with. So I'm thinking that might be a landing place. This is all just super fluid right now. So I think that sounds like a great idea. Next week would be a little soon for me for that. I want to land and get on Big Island and meet these people in person first, and feel into, who might be good to invite to a training together. So yes, I love the idea, and it could be in a couple weeks, I guess, would be the timeline for me.
Super. Yeah, let us know. I would love to meet a bunch of other people who are building community and talk more about this.
Cool. And did you say that you had the dates for them? It's in November, but
Yes, it's November 6th through 10.
6th through 10th. Okay. Is there a thing I can find all the details about it, or will you send it or something
Yes.
like that?
I'll text it to you.
Cool. Thank you.
I want to say something for you, Ian, and for the recording, that my biggest access to possibility management, to the magic that I suspect will be at the Expand the Box, is through the websites. There are a whole bunch of websites online with what I think is all the processes, all the tools, all the maps, all the distinctions. And this is how I got here. This was my first access point. Somebody sent me a link to one of the village building websites, and my mind was blown. And I read a website on completing communications, and I started using it in my space right away. And I had immediate like unenmeshment, immediate space inside of my relationships that I was like, oh wow, I got to know more. And then it went to rage work, and then it went to gremlin work, and then it went to right now fear work. And yeah, wherever your journey takes you with working with other people or just for yourself, going on to any of these websites is a huge portal into the gold of this training and this whole game world.
Thank
just-
you. Yeah, I just saw a little bit of the websites, and it does look like a lot of amazing material. I get the most through this, especially in-person interaction, and especially at least for the beginning part. That's kind of like my, what brings me into these kind of things. So I've seen that there's a lot of good resources, and I probably will check them out more at some point. But all to say is thank you all for being here in this experience together, because that's what's lighting me up right now.
Cool. Thank you, Ian. I just would say also for the recording, to add on to what you said, Melissa, is that the websites are collect together as part of a massive online game. It's actually online, offline, multiplayer, interactive, solo, all these different things. But every website has experiments and distinctions and stuff to try in real life that are all designed to basically make you more. They're designed to give you more matrix, which is kind of the stuff that consciousness rests on. But every experiment you do will give you more experience in this is how to really be centered, or this is what it is really like to have a grounding cord, or to have a bubble of personal space, for instance. So the idea is that people from across the globe, really anywhere, can start playing this game immediately and practicing some of the really amazing tools and distinctions like you just mentioned also, Melissa. I think I'd like to just jump into an experiment together of listening and speaking from this place of the more beautiful world my heart knows is possible. And my proposal for this would be to give each person time to allow themselves to speak from a place in their heart where maybe they've never spoken from before. And this might include letting their anger come up about for you, it might include letting your anger come up about what you really want to see more of, what's been missing for you, or letting your sadness, your brokenheartedness about the world or what you're longing for speak, or letting your fear speak and saying your fear for noticing what could be, the potential of what could be but what isn't, or even letting your joy speak, which in some ways we've also been doing here about this could be this we could bring these people, we could do another work talk. So to just allow that to speak, and as a group we just listen, we just really hold space for you to speak in a way where you are unfolding from that part of your heart that can see so clearly the more beautiful world. And so this is my proposal. Maybe we take, I don't know, something like 5 or 6 or 7 minutes each to just let that speak for a little while. What do you all think and feel about that?
Sure. Sounds good.
Okay. Does anybody want to go first?
Yes, I'll go first. I have no idea what I'm gonna say, but why not?
I'll keep time and I'll just let you know when to come to an end, even though you might never need to stop talking again, just to give you some kind of container to speak into.
Right. The first thing that comes to mind is I had a client share with me that she traveled to Denmark, and that there is a program where grandparents like of that age that don't have their grandchildren in the country, they become like foster grandparents to kids that don't have their grandparents around. And that there's this way that I was so moved by that. Like there's this way where it's like a community of people that work together to meet needs. And I see that as this possibility. And sometimes I wonder, I have this vision for Los Angeles that I live in Atwater Village, and it's like a smaller, I love that it's called a village, but it's like a smaller part of Los Angeles. And I see that there's just this potential to create more of a community with this neighborhood that's in Los Angeles, and how there's this bridge that I see, I pass every day. It's between Silver Lake and Atwater. And I have this vision that I want to like paint it, that I want to have murals, that I want to like have this whole thing created just for beauty, just for enjoyment. And there's all these weeds that grow along the sidewalk. And I want to get like the community here involved in the upkeep of it, like that there would be this upkeep happening, like that I would go out and weed to contribute to the beauty of this neighborhood and this place. And I also have this desire to create a family dinner, like actually every night of the week. Like I want like new people coming to my house to have a family dinner, like the family of my choosing, and that it would involve like conversations, and where there's a question on the table and every single person gets to answer, and everyone else listens, and there's like a listening and a sharing that's happening, and a food created together. And I guess as I'm talking, I just feel it's like there's just these ideas that I have all the time, and maybe those are like coming from my mind as well, but I just feel like there's so much more potential to create like support and community. And I have a community here of some people, and half of them have children and the other half don't, and I realized that there could be more events that involve children. And I also was wondering, when you were talking about Expand the Box, I was like, oh my God, there should be an Expand the Box for families, where there was some kind of version where kids could be there with their parents, and there might be like kids activities, but there's just this way where I see an opportunity to be more inclusive, and for me to be more inclusive. And as I'm talking, I feel actually this bit of aching in my heart, because I feel like so often I feel isolated, like that I interact with my computer a lot, and maybe with clients on my computer, but I'm alone a lot, and I have 2 cats right now that are new, and there's this sweetness in that relationship. But there's this part of me that feels like sad that I live alone, that that I'm like in a construct of capitalism, and like the way that life is supposed to look. And then there's this part of me, it's like I have these cats now, and I feel like I need to provide like something stable for them too. And I don't want to like let go of my cats, and I don't want You know what I mean? And so there's this way where I'm like, am I calling in a roommate? Do I need more community just in this small place
Mhm.
that I am? Like, what's possible for me right now in my own connection? But and I, with food in particular, like I feel like I need more support with sharing in that way. Like I really struggle to feed myself well sometimes, it becomes like a convenience thing. Yeah, so there's like so much that I want to create, and it almost requires more community, and then there's some blocks that I have to creating community. um like this feeling of not wanting to be the responsible one for all of the things and all of the information going out, but it's just like there's a desire, like a longing for something more connected. um oh yeah, I feel like I just ran something through because I don't
Mhm.
have the next thought at this moment coming forward.
Sometimes where that's, you can just stay there for a moment and see what comes.
I have I have this living room where I put a chair. There's floor to ceiling windows on this one corner, and I have a chair right there. And every time I see it, it feels like I call it the guru chair, like the teacher chair. And I just had this image of a space to create where someone could come, like the people would gather, and someone could take the chair and do what I'm doing right now. Like they could
Mm.
just speak and just have a space, like the talking chair or something, and they just share and share, and we all just say yes, yes, yes. What else? What
Mhm.
else do you want to share? What do you want us to know about you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I totally want to do this.
Mm.
That
And
feels like a new idea. It just came forward. Uh,
Thank you.
that's time.
yes.
Yes, will you do that?
The talking chair.
I would love to join you when I'm there for the talking chair as well.
Okay. Awesome.
I also want to join.
Yeah, thank you.
Me too.
Mm.
Okay, I propose that just for the next minute or two, if you have something that touched you in listening to Anita, or something where you just want to say yes, go, to just throw it into the space.
Yes, about your family dinners. Yes, go, go. And it's like I hear your angle of the pain about your isolation and about navigating feeding yourself well. And I suspect almost all of us have a different angle of the pain around not sharing food. And I want to have family dinners with you every night. Yeah, go.
Yes, I was gonna say the same thing. I'm there for your family dinners. Yes, go. Let's do it. Make them happen. Yeah, I've wanted similar. Yeah, had similar ideas. It would be so amazing to, yeah, as you said, have that family of your choosing at your table. Those that feel good to have a connection with, even maybe there could be hardships come up too, but to step into that connection just sounds, yeah, really lovely. So yes, go.
Yes, and I heard you, Anita, that you're aware or maybe coming to some blocks that you have to creating some of the things that you want and just going for it. I heard you talk about maybe your fear around taking that responsibility. And so my goal for you is to write those down and to find someone to hold space for you so that you can really like explore the blocks and explore beyond that to blocks you might not know yet and see what some of those emotional fears are about.
Thank you.
And I was just touched by I mean, I heard you say you're alone, and I can feel the sadness behind that. Uh, and 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 I can just see. I love knowing you at this point in your life because it seems like even though there's this aloneness thing, there's no shortage of one that's a longing. That if you're alone, you're not just staying alone, but somehow you're like, well, that means I want people. And just to hear how possibility works through you, like you just said, do I need a roommate? What about
Mm-hmm.
food share? What about dinners together? I can feel as you speak, you're the fountain, I guess,
Mm.
of what could be.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Who's next in the guru chair?
I'll go next.
All right.
And yeah, using my heart to speak about the world, or what was the prompt, Devin? Like how
The
I want.
world, what you're longing for, what in your life you're longing for, the world you're longing for, what could be the thing in your heart that could be.
Yeah, thank you. I feel sad just like letting that desire sit there, because I have such a longing for being with others and being with them at a level where there's something more than just walls or shit or behaviors that I've known or personalities. And
Mm.
yeah, like I've known my partner for half of my life now, for a very long time. And only in the last handful of years am I actually being with him. And I want that. I've known that since I was a child, and I want that. And I want children to be, I want it to be this norm in the world, regardless of the culture that dictates the environment. I want children to come into this world held and seen and have the space where they can blossom, where I could have blossomed, where we all could have blossomed and not been restrained, and instead have the world welcome me, welcome my children, welcome every child to come into this world as the potential that they are, and recognizing the responsibility that it is to hold the path of blossoming for this new human, and how fucking incredible it is, and how amazing it is beyond any story other than wow, and the potential is possible. And and in this world of my heart space, of my dreams, yeah, there is no person cooking alone. There is no person harvesting alone. There are no gyms. They're obsolete. They don't make any sense. People work with the food, with the earth, with the people, with their project, with things that are circular. We put our energy into it, and it gives back, whether it's food or creation or healing or things that I don't even know yet. And in the world of my dreams right now, my house, I live in a neighborhood, and all of our houses are connected somehow, maybe with a tube that you have to crawl through to go to your neighbor's house. And only one mother is cooking per day on the block, not every single house cooking their own meal. And the mother will cook, and everybody comes and eats. And
Mm.
and it, yeah, and it's, in isolation is not the value. Isolation is not the goal, but instead, it's like, instead everybody studies impossibility management so that we can call each other out on our shit, and have fun. Like, have a real kind of fun, not a personality mask on box kind of fun. Something that makes the heart flutter and be in a sort of aliveness that can be so soft and sweet and tender, or rageful or terrifying or anything on the spectrum of humanness, and that it's not repressed. It's a yes, it's a go. Yeah, in the world of my heart, children are not separated from their parents. It is a ludicrous thing. It doesn't happen. It doesn't make sense. And there's not these external pressures from what a person senses in their being, in their bodies, in their heart, in their parts as what is versus the pressure of stories of what should be. That pressure, we're not manipulating each other to work under that pressure. But instead, if a mother says, I just want to be with my kids and I want somebody to make food for me for the next year, it's not a problem. It's a like, fuck yes, 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 a full yes. Be alive, be well, be fed, receive, bring life, be you. Don't worry about these pressures of a certain way or fitting in or like this or money or the pressures that repress each one of us. And in the world of my heart, I think people are not fake laughing. Like, it's just not a thing anymore. Like, when you hear somebody laugh, you're like, whoa, that person's happy. I feel that. That's a real happiness. They're not light. They're not lying to me. It's not a fakeness. There's like a space for truth. And in the world of that's close to my heart, my hands are in the earth so much. And my blood is in the earth so much. And my sweat and my tears, I am close to the earth. I am not on the 3rd story of a house or the 10th story of an apartment. I live in connection. We live in connection. There is no disconnection from the rhythms of her, of Gaia, of the seasons, of the rain, of nature. It is a very normal practice to have a shower in the rain. This is how we cleanse ourselves. We don't turn on tap water showers. We go in the rain and we lather a little bit and get the dead skin off and cleanse all of our bodies at the same time.
That's time.
Oh, it's so sweet to say it out loud.
Oh, I feel really glad that's recorded. That worked on me like a healing, just repositioning, offering vision, the tubes through the neighborhoods. I want to draw that. I really want to draw that. I feel sad because it really touched me to hear you go and just let it flow through you. I could sense that Gaia was just speaking through you, like really like the fountain. So thank you.
So moved by the vision. Well, the tunnels really also turned me on, but this idea of a neighborhood where a mother could cook a meal and then everyone could come, and that sharing and the just and that no one eats alone, no one cooks alone. Like, just these statements that you were saying, I was like, oh yes, yes. There were so many things. I also feel so I felt like kind of lit up, like I have this like beautiful feeling. And I also love the connection with the earth and just gosh, you said so many things. I'm actually having a hard time grabbing them. It was just this, but I have this feeling right now. It's like, yes, if we slowed down to actually take some of these steps, they could just come into reality, to our lived experience. And thank you.
Will you say what the feeling is, Anita, if you had to pick between anger, fear, sadness, joy? You said you
Joy.
have this feeling. Okay.
Yeah, I have
Yes,
this
go.
feeling of joy.
Yes.
Like this upward moving lightness, and
Yes.
it feels playful
Mm.
and engaging and connective. Yeah, it's like your vision for connection in all these ways just created a feeling of connection in me. Thank you.
Yes, I, as you were talking about being out in the natural showers, I was just on my way running to get that umbrella that I had left as it starts to rain. So I really felt those natural showers you spoke of. That was very fitting timing. Yes, as Anita was saying, I also resonate with that feeling of joy that really came through. And the part that stood out to me especially was your thoughts or your feelings of having real laughter, people really laughing and being in it and experiencing that. That's something that I do resonate with is laughter and still in play. And so, feel that part. So thank you.
For me, also this image of tubes between houses, and just I think I wanted that my whole life. I think even living next door to my best friend, and 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 I could see his window from my window. So there was that. And yeah, I could feel the separation. There's a real gap. There's a real, like, this is our space and that's your space. And I think it's only now also hearing you, but more recently where I'm really at some level like, how the hell did that happen for human beings to, how the hell did that level of separation start to make sense? Because it really no longer makes sense to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa.
Yeah, thank you.
I'll speak. And okay, I'm just checking as like some sort of guardian of time that the call ends in 20 minutes.
Yes.
And to have all three of us go, I suggest making it 5 minutes
Okay, thanks.
so that you and Ian and myself all can go. Does that work? Okay.
Yes.
I'm with like this fear. I feel scared right now. I feel scared because I'm really turned on and alive in this space right now by the speaking from the unknown that Anita and Melissa brought. Like I feel scared that at it being so big, like the visions being so big and really being able to taste them, like they're on the other side of this really thin veil, and I'm like, how do my fears, like, how do we do it? How do I step from this world that I'm in, where I'm also in a way isolated, although I live with family, that I'm in a house and it's like this box that's next to another box next to another box, and really tasting this possibility of it not being this way, and all the cells connecting again, and really wanting that. And then I feel sad when I start to talk about that, and it's like, even in my own body, my physical body, really longing for the cells to connect like that, and for more awareness, and even deeper dropping down into my own physical body, and sensing and attuned and aware of how the parts of me are connecting and interacting. And it's like starting there. I feel scared because it's like I'm still there. I'm still there of needing and longing to nourish my bodies, really consistently nourish my body so that I can make my life bigger than me. And then it comes back to this fear of like, I'm not doing that sometimes. And so how do I do it so that I can really come forward? And that's, I didn't know I was going to say this, but like, that's kind of what's alive right now. This fear, like what do I need to do to become someone that consistently nourishes my body so that I'm a nourisher of other bodies and that I'm a nourished cell in the big body of what I want to create with you. And I feel sad that that's still part of my quest. And I also am glad because I noticed that there's just so much less judgment about it right now. Like I'm just telling you, it's like that. Sometimes it's really simple. How do I nourish my own physical body in a consistent way? And then when this possibility of not having to figure it out on my own, of being in community and nourishing our bodies together, and I'm like, oh yes, that is a possibility. And even when it comes to nourishing bodies, there's this possibility of doing it in a village and of certain people having these offerings. And sometimes I wouldn't have to do it myself. And I feel glad about that. I feel glad. And even as I talk about it, I'm like, okay, I come closer to you. Like, Anita, I could just ask you, will you feed me for a week? And you would do it if we were living next door to each other and able to crawl through a tube towards each other. So it's like, I feel glad about that. I feel glad I don't need to get stuck in this, like, oh, this is a problem. Suddenly there is no problem. Actually, I'm invited to just be with you now and speak and see what comes. And I noticed wanting to slow down and just check my longing and how it comes from like lower down here. It's not an idea of a vision of what I want, but my longing is to be close to other people, to come closer. And right now it has something to do with just looking at each one of you and seeing your beings. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
Thank you, Beth. Thank you for starting in the present, for being so close to the here and now. It had such impact for me. Thank you for, this reminder of the physical body, and that it's the vessel for that, for anything, the connection, the closeness, the community, the experience of nourishing or being nourished. Thank you.
For
Yes,
me,
thank you. I just was gonna share that I hear you about the sometimes feeling how can I take care of my body or my being to then show up for us. And I definitely have felt that, as well as heard of, many others sharing similar things. And to me, it's that we're all doing this together, going into exactly what you were saying when you seemed that you stepped more into the joy of it, and that it's not a problem, is that we are all coming on board with each other on similar interests and ways of living together. And in all these shares, how it seems like there's a lot of resonation amongst us of, wow, that sounds great. What a great vision of how we could live in more connection with each other. Yeah, I'm good. Thanks. Yeah. Yeah, just that reminder that exactly what we're seeking is what we're doing and creating, and that this isn't a journey to be done alone, because what we're seeking is connection. So we are there for each other. And yeah, well, I'll share. I'm there for all of you, and I imagine that it feels all the same. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, and I'm with you.
Thank you, Ian. Mine was really simple. It's just I felt as you were speaking the possibility of a world where people aren't just starving on a bunch of different levels, and what would happen if instead of being in a scarcity world, people, the baseline was that you're fed deeply. And now what? Something like that.
No, I really appreciated the way you were revealing what was happening inside of you in real time. I felt connected with you, and I really enjoyed this moment where you slowed down and were naming that, and I could feel my whole system slowing down with you. And the aha moment of like, wow, this doesn't have to be a problem. There's so much possibility. If I asked for something, I could receive it. Like it was I just felt like I was having my own revelation of slowing down, seeing where do I hold anything as a problem, and then what is the possibility for me to just ask for something. Shift that. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
I'll go. I think there is something in what you just said, Beth, about I think from when I was a little kid, I could feel my parents living in kind of constant tension and scarcity of like time or resources or love even. And the world that I want is where love is really so abundant, and where it's like I can feel it in people that what they have to give is so much more abundant than something like where people get that what's in them is so abundant that they could make their own food so that they're never starving again. That whether that food is connection or transformation or creation or adventure, that as human beings in the world I want to live in, it's like where we get that, so that no one else would have to provide our dream for us. That it would already that instead it's just all we need is the dream, and then the tool belt around us, and the village at our sides. I dream of a world where every door is open. In fact, it's like doors only serve the function of temperature, but they don't serve the function at all of separation. Where children can just wander in and out, where no one does anything for money. It's like that money is a consequence, but it isn't a motivation at all, because there's really enough everywhere. And that like freed of money, the main questions are what is my life about, and how do I do that? Who are we in relation to Gaia? That these kinds of things become the center of the world, and not considerations that I can get to after after I make sure I paid rent. I want a world where school is just gone, like the whole purpose of school, just where that is erased as a valid place to put children. And instead of like schools as prisons, it's the whole purpose of children coming together with adults there is about children's culture. And adults are just there to hold space, but the children are there to bloom, to be like, oh, like flowers in the garden, and that they're given what they need. It's like that oh man, I want fun to be at the center of life. like insane kind of real radical fun to be the question, is this fun? Okay, that's my time. Thank you.
I feel really glad at the idea of a children's culture where the adults are present to provide things that are needed from the needs of children and their exploration and fun being at the center. I'm a yes. Thank you.
I'm with you too about fun being at the center. And for a long time, I've had a dream of living in a house with no windows and no doors. And I feel joy to hear the resonance of that coming through to you. Sounds like no windows, no doors, and tubes along the sides. We're totally connected is emerging. Thank you.
I appreciated the sensitivity you brought when you talked about the doors where it would only be a temperature difference. Something about that just really brought me into my physical body and my energetic body. And so I really appreciated the non-linearity that came through you.
I really connected with the part that you said about schools disappearing and coming into children's culture and fun being at the center. And well, I guess I'll just leave that in since everyone's shared on that into mine. I have been a children's teacher for over 15 years, and my focus is nature connection, imagination, and storytelling. And I've been reading a Bill Plotkin book, Nature Connection or Nature and the Soul Connection or something like that. And just reading his thoughts on imagination potentially being the most important thing that we move forward with in human conscious evolution in current times. Since COVID, I kind of have not been regularly working with children, which has been really difficult in so many ways because their energy and just way of living and being and, on and on. I'm sure all know their magic. And what I'm feeling is that I want to share that with everybody, the entire world, coming back to the inner child in all of us and the play. I had just a amazing childhood. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, and just her kids were her everything. And so we did all kinds of just arts and crafts and tea parties with all my hundreds of stuffed animals, and went to the beach, and it was just a real dream. And I felt so just safe and protected to just play and have, again, fun, be at the center of life. That was my life for so long. And I continued in that flow for a good most of my life. I'm 38 now, and just in the last few years, felt in what I would say is my dark night of the soul, my very first one. And I had no idea when I'm sharing my story. People are like, "Whoa, it's your first? Like I've been through a bunch and all these things." And it just made me really realize. I mean, sorry, wiping the screen as rain falls on my phone. That I feel really a lot of gratitude for the childhood that I got to experience, where and to continue that on for so much of my life, where I felt a confidence in my safety in life enough. I mean, of course, have plenty of life challenges come up, but felt like I was able to stay on the board and keep riding the wave. And just in the recent times, yeah, having a really difficult time and some dark shadows, and I'm only just feeling like coming into a much stronger place now, but gaining back my self-confidence for everything, my own being, what I want to share with the world. And I just had this kind of aha moment with that the other day as I was looking through some family photos with my special needs sister, because she's just heading off to California, and I don't know when I'll spend time with her again and stuff. So it was just really beautiful to see all of our childhood memories and go through that and kind of relive those experiences. And it brought me back to what I have known I wanted to do or what one of my main purposes here is to share play, and just really positive connection and what I had gotten to do in the
And just start to wrap it up, Ian.
Okay, yeah. Profession as a children's teacher for so many years, doing it in the societal way that's done in this world. And now trying to figure out how to bring that to so many people that seem to really want it. And I feel a lot of sadness, anger, frustration around the things that seem like such roadblocks in that. And I'm doing my best to keep moving forward and make those connections with the people that feel that and that want that and yearn for that, and to get to share that just feels like what I want to do. I at an eco village just recently got to go to an equinox gathering and was talking with adults, but then I just saw the kids on the playground and I just excused myself to go play with them, and just it was immediately I was back in just this joy of life. And I ended up playing with the kids for most of the rest of the gathering, and it was just really special and something that I want to share with everybody. And play and laugh and be silly and just enjoy this life and figure out how we can do that together. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Ian.
you.
Thank you, Ian. What really came through for me was that you really see and have so much gratitude for the things that you were offered as a child. And yes, I heard you say that you've been going through more of a shadow period, maybe more of a underworld journey for the first time in your life. And there's just something coming through that, like, the person you will be on the other side or are on the other side of that has a lot to offer to children, has really a really lot to offer to this new culture of children. So thank you.
And I got that it's not just children too, like children and somehow culture of play being a real of play being a valid way for human beings to be.
Yeah, I hear something about the potential of what it is for a child to have play in their childhood, and now seeing you at this part that is this shadow or underworld part, that yeah, what will emerge will be the evolution. And I hear that the gift that is this kind of continuous thread is about play. Yeah.
Yeah, and I also just I see this thread of play just from your own childhood into your adult life to continue with children and then into this dark night of the soul. Like the thread keeps going, and I'm so curious. It's like, well, what is the play that emerges out of coming through this time, and what's the next, almost like your own next level of play, and how it wants to be expressed and shared and evoked in humans and others.
Thank you. Yes, I have hopes that it's pretty big considering some of the low spots that I felt for quite a bit.
Alrighty. Thank you all so much for coming and creating this space together and talking about Expand the Box and the worlds that you want to occupy. I really appreciated hearing it, and I'm glad it's recorded because other people will be able to hear it too.
I very much look forward to seeing you and touching you and being
We're doing
close in
this.
physical
Yeah.
body.
We're doing this. Yay.
Okay, we'll be in touch about a next one, also with you, Ian. And I know there's other people who missed this who are also in community, so maybe there could be another one that's more community focused, even of what is
Cool.
Expand the Box. Yeah,
How often do you do these ones?
this is the first time ever, so
Whoa.
with great frequency from now on.
Nice.
Thank you, Devin. Thank you, Anita. Bye, Melissa. Bye, Ian.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.